And our last speaker is one of the most influential young social scientists in Serbia. He was the main organizer of the very strong Emerge conference at the end of last year. He gained his PhD degree at the Institute for Political Studies, University of Lyon, France, in 2013. He's a research fellow at the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory, University of Belgrade, where he coordinates the Digital Society Lab. Areas of his interest are future studies, communication science, and social psychology. His research focuses on the social impact of emerging technologies in the media in terms of addictions, artificial intelligence, big data, echo chambers, polarizations, recommender systems, negative news, misinformation, individual well-being, and democratic capacity. He's interested in the links between the psychology of the media and how new forms of expression, such as the Metaverse, transform relations of power in society. Recently, he has been engaged in defining the recommender systems used by online platforms as a public good and virtual identity as a human right. It's my pleasure to announce Dr. Ljubisa Bojic on a topic extensive use of Metaverse technology, impact to identity, VR bullying, migration, and ethnicity.
Thank you. Thank you, Mina. Well, I will bring to you something which is rather different than my predecessors here, because the question is related to the concept that will follow, maybe. It depends if it becomes mainstream, accepted by everyone, and used by many, actually, in our societies. That is the Metaverse, the virtual reality world. As someone coming from the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory, please do not expect much about the imagined future. So I will try to be very short in presenting the Metaverse. First of all, the future cannot be, we cannot know what will happen. The future cannot be predicted. There is a science called the future studies, which actually analyzes some narratives and how they affect the present. And it also analyzes data from stocks and other sources and relates about present. And maybe by knowing how, for example, Elon Musk says something and the stocks goes up, we can know what may happen in the future. So we can know some trends. For example, the promise of internet was very optimistic. We hoped for a better world of connected people, for more love and understanding online and in the real world as well. Well, it happened. What happened was rather different. We have some pessimistic things that we see all around us, such as the increase of echo chambers, and people don't communicate much as before, and the transfer of communication to the virtual world, as you know, in schools and among children. So there are many outcomes of this age, some positive, some negative, and this new communication that we all use. As for the issue of addiction, when Milan said or proposed this lecture, we were speaking whether there is addiction or extensive use, because addiction is not recognized Media addiction is not recognized according to some manuals that are used in the States. But overuse, media overuse is something that we call this. And we actually measure extensive use or media overuse by some parameters that are used to measure addiction, such as length of use and some aspects that people feel or young people feel when interacting with technology, such as some changes in real life, addiction of media use, actually preventing us to live our lives in direct realities as it would be expected by our community and ourselves. So there are many aspects of these of media addiction, and this problem is present, as you know, in internet use, and it may be present in the metaverse as well, the virtual reality. So when I started my PhD, the question was whether addiction is actually lower for older media, as my and many other research inquiries have shown, and addiction levels are higher. The intensity of addiction is higher for newer media. So the question was why? And the answer, one of the potential answers that I offered, was because of engaging senses, of the way how new media make it possible to have more realistic experience when using them, more realistic to direct reality. So the next thing, I was wondering what it would be, and I thought it is going to be transferring some kind of scent through mobile phones, engaging more, but actually, it looks as the next step would be the metaverse, the immersive experience where you really feel you're inside the media. So I guess that you had the same kind of feeling like myself when you go and look these, and maybe some of you use these 4K TVs, that it's much better than direct reality when you look around. And that is the reason why it is scary a bit when we talk about metaverse. Actually, if the new reality is more attractive than direct reality, then we may stay in the metaverse more if it develops and if it becomes so complex, because it is envisioned to be a copy of this Earth. And there are companies that are actually doing this, scanning Earth, so we will have the same houses, the same, if we want to have a realistic experience. And we're going to have also many experiences which are made specifically for different tasks, and this is the thing that is being developed. So what the literature says, and I did one paper on this topic, that the virtual reality and the physical reality will merge, and at some point the surreality will happen. It will be the world where we don't know whether we are in one or another, so we're going to live in both realities at the same time. I don't know if it will happen, but this is how people and scientists envision the metaverse. So the promises of Mark Zuckerberg are, as you see, that we're going to have better socializing in the metaverse, which seems very unrealistic. And you see these other things. The new economy will develop, the NFTs that are already traded. People are already buying real estate, virtual real estate in metaverse. And actually, with the development of these GPTs and large language models, it is very easy to envision that the whole virtual world can be made without us, actually, in Metaverse, with virtual humans that don't know their simulation. So this is possible at this point, in my view, and that may be the reason why there is a petition that I also signed, which I don't think will be successful in making a moratorium on AI development. So we have some stats that 60 million individuals are addicted to video gaming. And the worrying thing is actually that gaming in virtual reality is more addictive, and some research inquiries have shown that. So this is the thing that can be very warning. And the problem is that research is lacking in many aspects of new technologies. As you all know, the regulation is also lacking. And the regulation which is present, I would argue, for example, GDPR is not effective. It is something that actually supports the big tech. So some research have shown that Metaverse can be suitable for escapism from direct reality, the substitution of real life. So this is the main question for the future, or it should be the question of the present time. But if everyone is met in the Metaverse, then this would not be escape from real life. This is just one thought, and this is the idea of. So the Metaverse. What when I ask GPT what will happen in terms of bullying and the Metaverse, the answer is like this. So it is going to reduce bullying by providing safe and secure environment, and users will actually decide who they're going to interact with, and they will have some kind of electronic shields that they can use if they don't want to have some physical contact in Metaverse with someone. So actually they think it is going to be more safe. But when I think about it, the Metaverse is going to divide people more, because they're going to live in the bubbles like they do now, but even more they can do that. So they're going to be scared from this kind of abuse and very segregated. And on the other hand, when we talk about schools, if school children are present in the Metaverse and then there is bullying, this will be a punishment to the child that is being bullied to escape to another world or to go to another room. So this is very complex and much more pessimistic than GPT says. So already there are some incidents in the Metaverse. As you see, the Horizon Worlds is the first platform in the virtual reality launched by Facebook or the Meta. And we had incidents that something like sexual harassment in the Metaverse happened, because there are many people that don't know each other that are protected. So it's very easy to go to someone and make these incidents or touch someone or something like that. So this happens when you engage in the Metaverse with people that you don't know. And so that means that we're going to be with people that we know, and segregation will happen, and bubbles will expand, etc. Social bubbles. So these scientists know that virtual reality offers a more immersive, embodied environment with more social sense of presence, which is actually very creates a big warning for bullying. The same story, the large language model gives idea about migration, that It can facilitate virtual travel, which is great. So it is going to have create virtual experiences and make it possible to interact with users. So it is a good picture of the future in terms of migration, and the same in terms of ethnicity, because people can choose how they look in the metaverse. They can choose their own avatars. In Serbia, we have a company that works with Epic Games. Actually, it's a part of Epic Games, and it made MetaHuman. It can create millions of virtual characters in games, and you actually can buy your MetaHuman and use it in the metaverse. So there will be no harassment and bullying if you use these characters that you can choose. This is just the story, the optimistic story that may never happen. The digital identity and the impact on identity. I think that we already live in the world where we are connected. And as in movies, they said, we live in a Facebook country. I really feel we are, the world is much different than before, although that's not what we see. Actually, the impact on identity here, I have some ideas. The underlying technologies that will be applied in the metaverse are very important. So their influence will increase. One of these technologies is a recommender systems. It is AI-based algorithm that recommends content to us individually. So it often gives us similar stuff that we like, so that we'll continue using and engaging with content online. And this just shows how recommender systems are influential, and they're increasing their influence because, you know, there is increase in retail commerce, increase in advertising spending, increase in dating services offline, and you know, people that got their partners, engaged with their partners, and they out of that the marriage happens. So this is actually showing that the corresponding algorithm, the something that is used to choose or to give us list of potential partners, potential friends, is very important. One of these algorithms is actually large language model, GPT, that when asked can tell us which country is the biggest one, when something happened, and actually can cheat on us because its answers are very good. They're written in an amazing language, and it's very easy to make lies by, you know, the AI can lie us, or maybe the owners of this GPT can instill their own thoughts, and they actually do that without any supervision. So the frequency of news consumption is actually mediated by algorithms, by recommender algorithms, and it's increasing. The social media are increasingly used to assess news and to interact around news. Well, this is just what really happens in one of the review papers about recommender systems, which will be importantly or significantly present in the metaverse. We have these negative consequences: echo chambers, polarization, misinformation are thriving online. Emotional contagion and negativity bias is actually the way that these emotions spread. So when you hear some news, then you might, when you tweet something or when you talk to someone in your family, you're actually going to, in many cases, to transpond, to spread this emotion. It doesn't mean that it's nothing around, nothing about the news. You can spread this emotion and feel this emotion that is unrelated to the news you heard online. So this is emotional contagion. Media addiction, we all know that. And then the issue of fairness, bias, inequality, and privacy. That is, I think that you had a lot of contact with. So these are the negative consequences of recommender system. And now I would just think, because I don't know how important these recommender systems will be in the metaverse. They will define the whole experience around us. They will define what we'll see at any given moment. And that's why this area needs much more research and regulation. It will make tech companies even more influential in our world, and maybe the techno-feudalism will thrive even more. So they affect the topics, emotions, attitudes, and actions. It doesn't mean we are going to listen to them and to do everything that these recommender systems suggest, but they actually affect us on multiple levels. So this is the Plato's cave of today and tomorrow. Unfortunately, it is related to technology. It is related to what we see and experience online, and tomorrow in the metaverse. So these are the two articles, Metaverse Through the Prism of Power and Addiction, that I published in a European Journal of Futures Research, and the upcoming one, Science of Consciousness in AI. We analyzed GPT and we found some irrationality in these answers of the large language model. So the title is pretty provocative, and we hope we're going to be lucky with the reviewers. So, okay, thank you very much for your attention.
If there are any questions.
Thank you very much for this brilliant talk. I have 100 questions, but I'm going to pose only one. And this is energy and the amount of energy it takes, and whether there are any figures, any information on how that would also increase when the metaverse is going to be more firmly established.
You think actually about ecology? That's the question.
For example.
Yes. Well, I don't have any answers related to that, but I actually feel this is very important. These large language models are consuming energy in very extensive amounts. So this is the whole new question that I have not been dealing with. And I think it is very important. It's very multidimensional issue, and I think is underrated in terms of research and regulation, as I already said. So, yeah, thank you. This is another important issue.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I found it very helpful. Thank you. You made a quick reference to how you think GDPR actually helps the technology and social media companies. Could you say a little bit more about that, please? Thank you.
Yes. GDPR. Yes. Well, it's pretty simple. Everybody uses these services, and the question is whether we accept, and we always click accept. So this doesn't really protect us from anything, and we also don't have a list of services that use our information, because we have already accepted that. The Google has an initiative, and you can actually see what data it takes. And there is some alliance that accepted to show which data it takes, which companies take our data. You can access that online, actually through Google, but there are no standards that we don't actually know. We just know our data is taken and we don't know where it goes. And if we, in case another way, if we don't know, if we knew that, what would we do with it? I don't think there is. The solution that we proposed is actually proclaiming recommender systems public good, and knowing, we need to know how the content is chosen for us, the percentage of content that is presented to us, which is not only what we think, but some other opinions, not only the areas that we're interested, but other areas as well. In China, the TikTok is interesting because they have the spinach version where they have lots of education to TikTok, which would be great for the whole world and for many social media, not only TikTok. And they have opium version for the whole world, but the spinach version for China. So it would be great to have some international agreement, maybe done through United Nations, an international organization, where these recommender systems would be regulated in terms of which emotion we get, not only negative emotions, which kind of content we get, etc., etc. Thank you very much.